Welcome to the Sports Watchdog radio show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Watchdog radio show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm Mason Kern here with you every Sunday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. Obviously, I'm certainly glad you decided to join me this morning, and as always, I do have some great stuff in my kennel. Today we're going to be hearing from former NFL linebacker turned restaurant franchisor Gary Brackett, as well as professional adventure athlete Sean Burch. I'll also be covering some sports hot topics, and for you basketball-specific fans, interesting happenings on the Hardwood. So first up to bat in this week's sports hot topics, we move over to the MLB as there have been some pretty cool happenings going on as of late. We'll talk some Diamondbacks, some Dodgers, some Ichiro. I mean, we got a lot of cool stuff to cover. I'll start off with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, this team is off to one of the hottest starts in over 100 years of Major League Baseball. They have not lost one series to start their season, guys. Not one. They're undefeated in series. They went 10 series wins in a row. That hadn't been done in 100-plus years. And then in their past series with the Los Angeles Dodgers, they didn't win it, but they didn't lose it either. They split it 2-2 with the Dodgers, who have been struggling as of late. And this Arizona Diamondbacks team is really exceeding most experts' expectations, as well as my own, to begin this season, because after they did lose JD Martinez in the offseason, people were saying, including myself, oh, how are they going to replace his power, his contact? He hit 29 home runs with the Diamondbacks in half of a season with them, because obviously he was acquired from the Detroit Tigers in the middle of last season. Didn't even play a whole season with the Diamondbacks and hit 29 home runs. So people were wondering how they were going to replace that. They went out and got Steven Souza, another one who hit 30 home runs all of last year, but he's been injured for quite some time. He's, I think, coming back now off of the IL, but I mean, this team has still exceeded expectations even with their injuries, even with the loss of JD Martinez. AJ Pollock has really stepped up for this Diamondbacks team. He was just the National League Player of the Month, has 25 RBIs to go along with 10 home runs, batting .307 at the moment, and this guy is on fire. He had a 3-home run game against the Dodgers, and he's one of the few this season who have done that. I mean, obviously you have Mookie Betts from the Boston Red Sox, another one who is on fire right now, who did that for a surging Red Sox team. But when you look at the Diamondbacks, they're very well-rounded. They have great pitching. Their bullpen, Archie Bradley, Brad Boxberger, Yoshihisa Hirano, those three guys coming out of the bullpen, and then they're starting pitching as well. Patrick Corbin has been extremely effective. Zach Greinke, Zach Godley. I mean, they have a very well-rounded pitching staff, and their rotation is very well-rounded too. I mean, even players who you might not expect to step up, who are kind of in the back order of their bullpen, or their lineup, I should say, like Gerard Dyson. And even some of their pitchers have been getting some hits. Patrick Corbin got one, Zach Godley got one. So, I mean, the back half of their lineup has also been producing. But this Diamondbacks team, they're going to be really scary. I think they have the potential of being a World Series caliber team. Everyone was saying before the season the Dodgers are going to be really well-rounded again this year. They've been extremely struggling. They have not looked like the Dodgers team from last year, who people were calling the best team in baseball. Obviously, they don't have Justin Turner right now. They just lost Corey Seager as well. So, I mean, they have some holes to fill. The pitching has not been great. And, I mean, other than Clayton Kershaw, who obviously is one of the best pitchers of the generation, in my opinion, I mean, they really need to find their bats. They need to start hitting better. They need to start pitching better. And they just need to become a more well-rounded team. In other news in baseball, Ichiro just retired. So that's definitely a big hit to Major League Baseball. He's probably the best player to come out of Japan ever, in my opinion at least. So that's pretty sad to see his career come to an end. Great career, great person. Love to see him play. But the reign of Ichiro in the MLB has come to an end, sadly. But as always, guys, hit me up on social media and let me know what you think about these and any other trending sports topics. Maybe it's outside of baseball, but let me know what you think about these and others at Sports Watchdog on Twitter and at The Sports Watchdog on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well. All right, guys, we're going to head into a short break here. Stay tuned for the rest of the Sports Watchdog radio show here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060.
If your snoring is annoying, get Smart Nora, the world's first smart, non-invasive snoring solution that stops snoring before it wakes up your sleeping partner. As you begin to snore, this solution silently and gently moves your head using a padded pillow insert. This slight movement of the head stimulates the throat muscles, allowing the airways to assume its natural position and stop the snoring. It was named one of Oprah's favorite things. Check it out at smartnora.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Watchdog radio show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining me on the line now is Gary Brackett, a former NFL Super Bowl champion for the Indianapolis Colts and current restaurant entrepreneur and franchiser. Gary rose to national fame when he played for the Colts for 9 seasons. During his tenure, he was most noted for winning Super Bowl XLI over the Chicago Bears. During this season, he was named defensive captain of the Colts and had over 120 tackles. Throughout his career, he was also twice named AFC Defensive Player of the Week. As 78% of NFL retirees have gone bankrupt or are under financial stress because of joblessness or divorce within 2 years of their careers ending, this was not the case for Gary, as he was always throughout thinking about his post-NFL aspirations even when he first entered the league. He took advantage of executive education and internships provided by the NFL, which provided a foundation for him to take advantage of his post-career options. Gary is now the owner of the Stacked Pickle restaurant franchise and launched Brackett Restaurant Group. The Stacked Pickle has become Indianapolis' favorite neighborhood restaurant and sports bar, as they proudly serve fresh and affordable food with legendary customer service. The Stacked Pickle's full bar offers over 15 draft flavors and daily drink specials as well. So with that, Gary is now here on the Sports Watchdog radio show. Welcome, Gary, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thank you again so much. So Gary, first off, like I said, you were thinking about your post-NFL career endeavors kind of throughout the entirety of your entire career. So how did you end up in the restaurant industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, a lot of people in NFL, the acronym NFL in our minds, it stands for not for long. I think that they did now average NFL tenure is only 2.8 years. So that's very alarming, and I knew that one day, football would be over. So restaurants was my first job, and I always realized that, owning a restaurant is the ultimate team sport. I always wanted to be a head coach of some organization or a football team, and now turns out I'm the head coach of the Stacked Pickle. So I'm very thrilled to have that honor, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, now you do own the Stacked Pickle. So like I said before, I mean, that's cool that you got into the franchising business and building up your restaurant for sure. So how were you kind of able to franchise this restaurant, the Stacked Pickle? I mean, obviously clever name and kind of draws people in, but how and then how widespread has it become?
Yeah, so we just actually started franchising last year. So last year was our first year, so we're in talks with, over 10, 15 individuals somewhere on the pipeline to sign that first deal. Haven't quite got there yet, but we have 10 corporate locations. So first, before I wanted to franchise, I wanted to make sure that we could really flush out our systems. So then it was when it became time to franchise that our systems was really turnkey. So we've done that over the last, 4 or 5 years that I've owned the company. And now we're looking forward to continued growth year over year. And now rewarding franchisees to come into the system and kind of train them so they could be successful on their own.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, communication is definitely key, especially in the restaurant business, customer service and all that. But, I mean, looking back at your NFL career now, I mean, in the peak, you did win a Super Bowl ring with the Colts, like I said. So how was the transition from that point in time to kind of getting into your retirement and post-career endeavors?
Yeah, it was it's funny story. So when I stopped playing football, 2011, I make great money. So I thought I was retired. So I'm golfing every day. At the time, my wife's she's practicing to be a doctor. So my son, who was 33 and a half at the time, he sees me coming home from the golf course and sees my wife coming home from a 12-hour shift at the hospital. And then he asked me, he says, "Dad, like, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was like, "What? Excuse me, what do I want to be when I grow up? Like, do you want to see my Super Bowl ring? Like, do you want to see?" But he didn't know who I was back then, right? He had no idea. He was born in my last season, so he didn't know. So it really, had me pondering and thinking, like, man, I still have a lot left to give, and still have people that I'm leaving a daily impression on, and I wanted that to be positive. So I wanted to get back to work, and restaurants is a great industry for me to get involved in.
I mean, I feel like not all NFL players probably do take advantage of those programs like you did. So what improvements do you think the NFL can make, or do you think these players can kind of make in terms of trying to stay motivated and achieve, this post-career success and take advantage of those programs like you did?
Yeah, I hate to use this word because, a lot of players hate it, but almost like it's required. I mean, this requires that every offseason you either get educated or you can take some type of internship. And I think, that will make it a requirement for everyone to get that fulfilled and check off their checklist. But for those players that don't know what they want to do, I mean, it's a perfect opportunity for you to get entrenched in something and learn about an industry that may be, your second career. So I think allowing former players back inside the locker room, speaking to the current players about, what's life like on the other side, and just encouraging them that, don't think of football in terms of retirement, think of it in terms of transitioning. And the biggest thing about transitioning is having a plan and executing on a plan once you're finished.
Definitely. I mean, you kind of bring up an interesting point about the possibility of it being a requirement. I mean, it would do nothing but I would think benefit these players in the long run. So that definitely is an interesting option should they want to consider that. But I mean, this NFL season, lastly, Gary, I want to get your opinion on this. This last NFL season there was a lot of controversy. I mean, I'm sure you kind of stayed up to date with it all, what with president's comments and national anthem protests and all this kind of stuff. And that definitely had an effect on the ratings and all this kind of stuff with the NFL. So what's your take on all this, and how do you think these controversies kind of affected the NFL this season?
Yeah, I think it's I think no longer are we in the day where we think it's appropriate that our athletes should shut up and dribble, shut up and play. These are informed and educated individuals, and a lot of them are very passionate. And everyone wants you to be a role model for things that they're passionate about. But when you become a role model for some things that you're passionate about, then it becomes a problem. So I think guys did it in a very tasteful way. And I think guys, ultimately a lot of the guys, that did decide to take a knee, were involved in the community and they were giving back and they were having a conversation with police officers, really moving the conversation forward. And I think it was healthy dialogue. I think, ultimately it's unfortunate, obviously a lot of the country is split in that decision.
Of course.
But I think it really welcomes the opportunity for you to learn from a different perspective, because our whole lives we grew up with one perspective just based off our experiences. But if you were introduced to someone who had different experiences, thus had a different perception about life, and if you had a conversation with that individual, you might not believe him or you might not agree, but at least you can understand where he's coming from. And I think a lot of times that's all the NFL players are trying to do, to understand the challenges that they face on a daily basis. And I think they did a great job of making that about the awareness. Unfortunately, a lot of times, a lot of the talk was about the kneeling and not about the reason why the players were kneeling. So that was unfortunate. But I still think a lot of healthy discussions were had, and ultimately I think, the players got their message across, and I don't think towards the end of the year, I think a lot of players were standing up and a lot of, great conversations were had, and I think we pushed the conversation forward a little bit by having that uncomfortable time.
I mean, yeah, definitely an uncomfortable time for sure, but the message definitely getting put across to kind of the whole country. We'll see if the ratings this year kind of increase or decrease as a result of those talks. But Gary, once again, thank you so much for coming on to our show today. Our listeners definitely surely appreciated it. Where can they go to get more info on you and the Stacked Pickle as well?
Yeah, StockPickle.com is our website. Definitely check us out there, and there's a link to franchises from that page. And myself, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Gary Brackett on Instagram and Facebook, Gary Brackett58 on Twitter. I'm still begging Twitter for my blue check mark, so everyone know it's me, but it is me. So feel free to follow me, leave a comment. I'm usually always good about getting back to people.
There you go, guys. Make sure to check him out and make sure to check out the StackPickle.com as well. Thank you so much again, Gary. All right, everyone. The Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We'll be right back after this.
Be prepared for those rainy days with Weatherman, the only umbrella blending unmatched quality with smart technology and ingenious design led by meteorologist Rick Muth. The Weatherman app pairs with Pebble Bee Bluetooth tracker to detect the forecast, then provides alerts when you need to take your umbrella along. A tracker always ensures you always know where to find your umbrella when needed. Visit weathermanumbrella.com to learn more.
You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is 8-time world record-setting explorer, leadership expert, filmmaker, and conservationist Sean Burch. Sean's 8 world records span 6 countries and 5 continents. He's the winner of National Geographic Channel's Ultimate Survival Alaska TV show, and he's the author of the acclaimed self-help book Hyper Fitness, 12 Weeks to Conquering Your Inner Everest. For over 25 years, Sean has been a master fitness instructor and personal development and leadership specialist for Fortune 500 companies and other institutions around the world. He was named Goodwill Ambassador to Nepal by their government and was awarded Brand Personality of the Year by the Asia Pacific Foundation. Sean's documentarian and photography work has appeared in news organizations including CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox World News outlets as well worldwide. Sean has generated over $1 million for third world countries and collaborated with a multitude of nonprofit organizations as well. So Sean is here to discuss his mental, nutritional, and physical training program designed to help people achieve their goals professionally and personally. Hey Sean, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. Glad you could be here.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks a lot, Mason.
Yeah, thank you again for coming on. So first off, Sean, let me just start off by asking, what was your main motivation really for getting into adventure exploring? Did you have any real inspirations?
Yeah, it was my grandfather. He was a mine engineer who lived all over the world. He was a World War II vet, spoke 3 languages, and I thought he had done everything. And then on his deathbed, our last conversation, it was so sad because his mind was still there, but his body was shattered. And he said to me, don't end up like me. I'm a man left with so many what ifs. And he said, we know the worst thing about dying is, he said, I know now all those dreams I have will be left as that, dreams. And he knew they'd never occur, and it was very painful for him, and it was very painful for me to see. So it finally hit home there to live your life, to nourish every single second. I mean, I think we all go through life thinking, there's enough time, and then one day you realize, it's gone. So he was a catalyst. He was the big inspiration that said, hey, you know what? I had this dream. I had this goal. I'm from Washington, D.C. area. So I'm going to climb Everest. I'm going to climb it on my own. And then kind of just snowballed from there.
Wow, that's definitely an incredible story. I mean, that motivation, that drive kind of pushing you. But obviously, I mean, you got to be a little fearful before big expedition hiking Everest. Obviously, no easy feat. So how are you able to kind of use that fear or those emotions really to your advantage? And what advice would you have for others experiencing the same emotions trying to achieve a goal?
Yeah, I mean, fear is to me the really critical component, isn't it, Mason? Everyone has fears. I've never met someone, when I'm speaking to corporations, who they've always everyone raises their hand. I've never met someone who didn't have a fear. And my major one is I'm afraid of heights. So but I feel that fear has actually kept me alive many times because fear lets you know you need to focus. And I use fear as an opportunity to be tested and become stronger. And to me, it's really not about being fearless. I think that's foolish. It's about being aware what your fears are and then learning how to control your fears. and that's what I do when I'm either breaking a record or I'm doing these expeditions. I learn how to control my fear and use that to my advantage when I'm trying to to break a record.
So it seems really as if you're kind of using that fear as kind of a catalyst to kind of give you more strength, which is a take that I really haven't heard before. So that's kind of interesting. And specifically for you, obviously, I mean, the fear kind of ties into building that strength. But what are your physical, like dietary and fitness regimens, and how tightly do you stick to them to kind of try and be in tip-top shape to achieve your goals?
Yeah, you mentioned the book. I mean, I have a program that I do every single day. There's not a day I don't exercise, and it's a training program that I designed for everyone to have those goals and the dreams they have, make them a reality. It's not a weight loss program. I mean, some people ask that. I mean, you're going to lose weight when you're doing the program, but it's not about that. If you want to do that, do one of those. I don't know, Jenny Craig. I don't even know if that's still around. But one of those programs, mine's about taking and changing you through the physical, through the mental, and through the nutritional. And I really love to work with ex-athletes, because the ones that played in high school, played in college, because they have that mindset. It's there inside them. And what I try to do is bring that out. Because it's kind of been put to the side because of work, because of kids, because of their spouse, or whatever it is. And what I try to do is I get that back into their mindset and then train them for whatever goal it is, whether it's climbing Everest, or whether it's doing a triathlon for the first time, or changing your job, moving, whatever it is. I use that program for all my students and stuff.
Do you have any other habits that you've kind of tried to kind of work in and do every day? And you mentioned the working out as well, but I understand there's something with peanut butter as well.
Yeah. I mean, I got a couple of habits, but peanut butter is a big part of my nutrition plan. I eat 1 pound a day, at least. Wow. 1 pound a day. I've never met someone who's actually ate as much as I do, and it's not about eating more than anybody else. It's just a matter of fact that I freaking love peanut butter.
There you go.
I eat natural peanut butter every day, and I've been a nutritionist for over 20 years, so I know that what goes in your body, what goes out, like calories, that's BS. It's a matter of what you put in your body, and then how do you use that within your training aspect. So I'm able to eat 1 pound a day in my training every single day, and it keeps me. I mean, I sleep well. I eat great. I think I eat great. I train hard every single day, and I don't have to take a day off. So it's worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, a pound of peanut butter a day, that's crazy to me, because I'm really only a fan of peanut butter on peanut butter jelly sandwiches. So I don't think I could really do that. But obviously, I mean, you've attained so much success, and you've been on a lot of expeditions. So is there a moment or a story really that you can share that's kind of stuck out to you?
Wow. I mean, every expedition is extremely a learning experience. I mean, I've got some really crazy ones of being, held up by drunk, knife wielding Chinese yak herders, and so arm wrestled a naked guy at the North Pole when I was running.
Wow.
That was something that I really didn't want to do, but the guy insisted. And so, I mean, those can last. I mean, those are great stories, but those are something that you and me would have to have a beer over and talk about, because it's just having a drunk Russian challenge you, and you're drinking from a 5-gallon huge jug, like a gasoline jug, and it's not vodka, it's cognac, and he's just totally lit up, and he's sweating, and he's naked, and he's going, challenge me.
You gotta accept
and you have
the
no other
challenge,
choice, right? Because it's a Russian base. You have to challenge him, and you're just like, what the hell am I doing at the North Pole challenging this yahoo who's completely wasted? But that's part of the fun. That's part of the adventure is doing these expeditions, knowing the fact that you're going to come across, knife guys trying to attack you, or yak herders falling into a crevasse, or crazy drunk Russians.
Yeah, those are definitely some pretty crazy stories for sure, and I'm sure there's many more to come. Well, Sean, thank you so much for the great insight into the world of a true adventurer. Where can our listeners go to get more info on you and to stay up to date?
You can go to my website, SeanBurch.com, SeanBurch, or you can go. I do Twitter as well, so you can go on there, or Facebook. From on there from time to time. So that's pretty much where you can reach me.
There you go, guys. Make sure to check him out on social media. Thank you again, Sean. All right, everyone. The Sports Watchdog radio show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We'll be right back after this quick word.
Lifestyle expert Marilee Kern here with a fantastic travel idea for you. Those traveling to Los Angeles will love the Jamaica Bay Inn, a boutique hotel in Marina Del Rey offering fantastic hotel amenities, including a fitness center, complimentary Wi-Fi, 24-hour business center, a heated pool, and beachfront dining at Beachside Restaurant and Bar. Jamaica Bay Inn's casually elegant rooms and suites feature 55-inch flat-screen TVs, and many even have balconies with water views. Book now at JamaicaBayInn.com.
You ready to hoop it up?
This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
Now, as always at the end of the Sports Watchdog radio show here on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060, we're going to transition and pivot on over to the Hardwood. Yes, it is that time yet again for Happenings on the Hardwood. And I know we've been talking about NBA playoffs, guys. We're in the middle of it right now, still in the conference semifinals. I was touching on it a bit last week when we were talking about giving you guys the update on the series, who I think is going to win, which still the Rockets, FYI. My opinion has not changed, even though Golden State is kind of surging against the Pelicans right now. I know, but I'm still sticking with the Rockets. I mean, the Jazz are a very good team, so I can see why they would give Houston some trouble, but Houston can have a bad game, guys. It's okay. I still think they will win it all this year. You can't take that away from me. I'm not changing my opinion just based on a few games. But we're going to shift away a little bit from NBA playoffs just because I think those storylines get a bit repetitive. Obviously, new game. Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, has been on a tear in Boston. And Ben Simmons did not play well in that one game everyone's giving him crap for with the 1 point in over 30 minutes of play. But I get it. There are other storylines we can touch on, but I'm going to stray away from the playoffs here for a sec because the coaching search for a few teams have come to an end. Obviously, the teams who didn't make the playoffs are trying to kind of retool through free agency with their players, but it's not just the caliber of talent you have on your team. It's who is coaching and leading your team, who is scheming, who is making the plays, and that's the coaches. Obviously, for some teams, it's not like that. Cleveland, LeBron James, Tyronn Lue. But anyway, we're going to move over a little bit from that. I'm not going to say anything else there. But two teams, their coaching searches have come to an end. I'll start off with the Phoenix Suns. They have hired Igor Kokoskov, the current assistant coach for the Utah Jazz. And Kokoskov was with the Suns from 2008 to 2013. He was an assistant. He becomes the first coach or head coach to become that position for a person who was not born in North America and didn't grow up there. So Kokoskov, he's highly effective in player development. That's what we're hearing sources say, that his player development skills are unparalleled. He'll be a great addition for Devin Booker to kind of develop even further than he already is, become and reach that all-star level. And then an interesting point of note is that obviously the Suns were the worst team in basketball this year, probably going to have the number one pick. Kokoskov won a title at Eurobasket. He coached Luka Doncic, who is probably going to be a top 1, 2, 3 pick this year. He has strong ties to Doncic, so I don't know if that was partially a reasoning for the Suns to hire him. Maybe they're trying to stray away from DeAndre Ayton, which I think would be a bad move. But, I mean, you can't really have a bad move with Doncic or Ayton, in my opinion. But Kokoskov, good player development coach. We'll see how well he does for this Phoenix Suns team, who's just struggling to find their identity. Just a horrible season, really. They didn't really expect to have it. But we transition over to the next coach. David Fizdale, the ex-Memphis Grizzlies coach, is heading to New York, as the Knicks have officially hired him as their head coach of the future. And I really like this pick. I like this guy. I think he was a great fit in Memphis. I thought it was a little unprecedented for them to let him go. But David Fizdale is going to New York. New York obviously struggling. But, I mean, they have some good pieces in Enes Kanter, Kristaps Porzingis, who's going to come off injury, Frank Ntilikina, and then they'll retool with someone through the draft this year. So, I mean, good pieces there. David Fizdale, I mean, if you're still trying to run the triangle from the Phil Jackson era, yeah, I don't think he's going to really be down to run that system. That's really not what he ran in Memphis, but we'll see if either the Suns or the Knicks can kind of get back into playoff contention. And we'll see if the Rockets, guys, can win the championship like I predict. I mean, I'm pretty sound in my predictions, I gotta say. But, I mean, I can't speak for everyone else. So let me know what you think. Give me some other takes on who you think is going to win the NBA Finals this year. If you think these coaches fit into the new systems they're going to be implemented in. Let me know what you think on @sportswatchdog on Twitter. And like I said before, @thesportswatchdog on every other platform, guys. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so @asportswatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well @thesportswatchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog Ace and Kern.